Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Chelsea versus Newcastle pre-season in the US is a few hours away, and I uploaded my preview for the game at around midnight UK time. So I'll leave a link in the top of the description as well as my Telegram. There's only 5 more days to enter for the Chelsea versus Liverpool ticket giveaway. 2 VIP tickets worth £2,000. Make sure you're following the Telegram link in the description. In today's video, we are going to take a look at Reece James's comments, Mauricio Pochettino'S comments in the pre-match interview, because I feel as though we learn a lot about what the captaincy at Chelsea could look like under Mauricio Pochettino for the 23-24 season within this Chelsea squad. We're also going to talk about the source talking about Trevoh Chalobah leaving Chelsea, and there is some little rumours going around that this source is actually close to Trevoh Chalobah. It is SamC345 on Twitter, who often releases some of the players that are in the Chelsea starting 11, and rumour has it it's Trevoh Chalobah who gives him these leaks. We don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to talk a bit about this Trevoh Chalobah news because it's confusing. But Pochettino has given his demands. In the press conference, Pochettino was speaking about midfielder targets. How many midfielders do you need? It depends on the situation of different players. We need at least one more, and we are working on that. It's good. It depends on what happens. In the next few weeks, we will decide and take our decision. It's good at least that Pochettino, despite managers always being very careful, treading on their tippy toes in terms of what they disclose to the media, particularly when Chelsea behind the scenes have got a whole team working on business deals, players coming in. Pochettino makes it absolutely no secret that one midfielder is absolutely needed at Chelsea. He is then speaking a little bit about whether it's difficult to let players like Conor Gallagher leave. We're going to talk about Gallagher again here. Both parts have to say and have to agree. At the moment, nothing to say. Conor is in our plans. I was talking with him the first day I arrive. In football, things can happen we cannot manage. At the moment, I am happy with him and his performance. He has 2 years left on his Chelsea contract. Nothing to say. When I hear this, it does make you wonder about the motives of the owners. We're going to talk about Trev in a moment, but both Trev and Gallagher are both in the same category here. Common players, players that will be sold, and I hate to keep on saying it. I don't know why I've got this little thing about this pure profit fact that Chelsea have with the potential sales of Gallagher, Chalobah. We've seen it with Ruben and Mount already in this window. Conor Gallagher is part of Mauricio Pochettino's plans, and then there are things here that we cannot manage. This is coming from the top of the club. If Conor Gallagher is to be sold, it's because whatever plan Pochettino has for him, those above him who make the decision that Pochettino is even there in the first place, those above him are saying, well, there is such thing as an offer that is too good for Chelsea to refuse, whether Gallagher is in your plans or not. Obviously in football, there are always going to be people more important than the manager, but this does worry me a little bit. It worries me because still, we haven't signed a midfielder. We have Santos, Cassidy, Enzo, and that is basically it. And Chukwuemeka, sorry, I don't know why I always forget Carnes, he's a great player. That is the options that Chelsea have. And at this moment in time, Pochettino has been talking about experience. Appear light and experience in midfield area. Where do you stand with Conor Gallagher in the area as a whole? At the moment, we are working to reinforce that area and other areas also. I think the players that are here on the tour are in our plans. That's good, Chelsea plans. At the moment, nothing to say about the players we have here. We are working very hard to try add more players in different areas and hope that is possible soon. I think Pochettino is absolutely desperate for some experience. We know that Moises Caicedo is coming in, but we've also got to remember Caicedo is even younger than Enzo Fernandez, Chelsea's most experienced midfielder. Going into the 23-24 Premier League season is a 22-year-old. Yes, he's won the World Cup. Yes, he's a £100 million player. Enzo Fernandez is magnificent, but even though we've wanted to get rid of Kovacic, Jorginho, Mount, Havertz, Ruben, every single one of them is a more experienced footballer than any of the players that Chelsea currently have in this midfield. So I do think Pochettino is a bit desperate. We are needing leaders, and it's a gamble to go into a season with such a young squad. Yes, incredibly exciting because the ceiling of some of the players that Chelsea have is fantastic. It's very high. We can't touch it even at 6'3", which is how tall I am, by the way, if you didn't know. So for Poch, I think it is essential that the Caicedo deal gets done, because when you look at it, right, Chelsea, if we're going to sell Conor Gallagher, which it looks as though we're trying to do, if the price is right. We've rejected West Ham's bid, which came to about 45 million quid. We want 50. Okay, cool. If we get it, then I guess we're going to sell. Pure profit, as we keep on saying. But at the moment, right, Chelsea's midfield is so shallow with that depth. You know, we can literally walk all the way through the ocean with this midfield depth. It's not enough at this point in time. And with a young squad, it's a risk. It's a gamble. If Enzo gets a suspension, Enzo gets an injury, are we just going to be relying on teenagers at Chelsea Football Club? Caicedo, at this point, like, maybe we're just going to have to spend the £100 million. We've talked about Caicedo a lot. We then move to discuss Rhys James and the captaincy. The pre-match press conference was conducted by both Pochettino and Reece James. Reece is sat there looking pretty coy, looking pretty calm. And of course, he had things to say about whether or not he'd like to be the Chelsea captain and what responsibilities he expects to take on his shoulders for the upcoming season. So, Pochettino, first of all, was asked about Reece James. Part of your leadership group, one of your captains, he is one of the possibilities. We are talking from day one about his objectives and how he was in the last few years at the club. He feels Chelsea. He came from the academy. He is one of the profile and players that can be present and future captain of our club. And of course, without having to just make it boring and just read off every word for word from the interview, when Reece James is asked about this, of course, he grew up here. He's been a Chelsea player forever. And if the opportunity were to arise where the captain's armband is on his arm, Reece James would be willing to take it. In terms of his leadership style, he's vocal, but he can also do the other stuff off the field as well. And for me, I think Thiago Silva is the obvious one. When it comes to Mauricio Pochettino's captain for this season, Thiago Silva, probably the last season he's going to have at the club, the last season at a top European club. Thiago Silva to be given the captaincy, with Reece James as the deputy, the vice captain, it does make sense. But at the same time, it's about figuring out who's going to play more. If Reece James is going to stay fit, which I think this season could be easier to do so because we've got less games, but he didn't have surgery, so maybe he needs that surgery. I've been saying that for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of months Reece is injured and needs to undergo surgery, maybe even misses the season. It sounds horrible. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just being realistic here. Thiago Silva, he's not getting younger. So maybe at some point this season we see Enzo given the captaincy. I don't know who else it could possibly be. You could even say Trevoh Chalobah, a man that we're about to speak about in a bit more detail in a second. Maybe even he is one of the more senior players. Ben Chilwell, that's another option, but can he stay fit? It's a big dilemma at Chelsea Football Club, but just to throw it out there now, I would make Reece James Chelsea captain. I think he's got everything that fans can connect to. I think when it comes to a brand new squad, new dynamic in the dressing room, he is one of the experienced players. He's been here for a while. He's been playing top level football now for a few seasons. And I think in terms of being that bridge between new players not feeling settled, settling into Chelsea on and off the field, I don't think there's anyone better than Reece James to be that custodian wearing the armband for Chelsea moving forward. And if you give him the captaincy now, it's a job that doesn't need to be thought about again for a long time. I think Reece will stay at Chelsea. I don't think he's like some of the other Cobham boys who Chelsea are either looking to sell or never really wanted to be here in the first place. We don't need to mention names anymore because they're red. We move to discuss Trevoh Chalobah. And I want to talk here about where this comes from, because we're not really linked to any centre-backs. We were linked about 2 weeks ago to Mark Guehi, and then all of a sudden, all of this conversation has just gone dry. We've not been linked to him again. There's been no conversations being had. None of the top journalists are talking about it. C345 Sam has said, sources are saying Chelsea's owners are pushing for the sale of Chalobah. He doesn't want to leave. Inter and Chelsea are advancing in talks, similar to that of Conor Gallagher. Neither one of Conor or Trev have asked to leave Chelsea. They're not looking and thinking, well, don't think we're part of Pochettino's plans, so therefore I'd like to move away. I don't think Conor wants to be going to Tottenham. I think it's the last thing he'd ever want to do. And for Trev, he's been one of those consummate professionals who knows he's not first choice centre-back, knows he's not first choice right-back, left-back, wherever he's been thrown into, he's done a good job. And I think even if we don't really have any real deep negatives to say about Chalobah, on the flip side of it, I could also say that he's probably still not first choice centre-back. When it comes to that right centre-back position, Thiago Silva gets injured, Fofana's not even here for the whole season. Who plays? Who plays if Trevoh Chalobah signs for Inter Milan? I think this is crazy, but I also think it is coming from the top. If Pochettino hasn't said that he wants these players gone, I don't think it's Pochettino considering Chalobah or Gallagher surplus to requirements. I think this is the powers that be above him saying, we need to sell these players. We spent 600 mil last year, sorry, but we need these books. They're getting more balanced. We've sold a lot already, but we need to balance it more. We need to put ourselves on the front foot now instead of chasing our tails on the back foot and forcing a 12-player sale before the middle of July. And I'm worried about this. I'm worried about what it could mean for the future of some of the brilliant young players that we've brought in. Is it going to be a case of, well, we spent 12 million or whatever on Andre Santos, but for 50 million move comes in, no matter how good he is for Chelsea, he's sold because of profit. He's sold because of the books and all that jazz. I really hope this isn't going to be the model. Yes, it gives us financial security, but does it really paint a good picture for players that can still come up from Cobham? The youngsters that the club have signed, do they feel like Chelsea is a stepping stone? And as a fan, and someone who follows Chelsea every day through every single thing, every element of following a football club, I have always wanted players to come to Chelsea and see it as the pinnacle, see it as the end game. This is where I can be my best. This is where I don't want another move. And if I'm sold, it's because I'm not good enough. I don't want Chelsea to be a stepping stone club, let alone players to know that it's a stepping stone before a bigger move or a better move, whoever it is to justify what that means. Trevoh Chalobah, I don't think Chelsea should be selling him. And that is why I'm concerned about where this decision's being made. Because I don't think it's Pochettino, and I think it's a problem that we've already sold a lot of players and made a lot of money, and we don't have backup for Conor. Trev, I don't know where this is coming from, and it concerns me greatly. Moises Caicedo, just going to finish a little bit here with a note on him. De Zerbi was asked about Caicedo. He's still a Brighton player. He's going to be playing the second half of the game against Brentford. Cool, mate. All right? As long as he doesn't get injured, I hope it's not an artificial pitch that Moises Caicedo is playing on, because when Chelsea finally sign him, we're going to put this out into the atmosphere here. When Chelsea finally sign him, we don't want to be dealing with petty little injuries from pathetic football pitches in the US. I'm not sure if it is. I might just be jumping the gun there, but I've got Ruben PTSD from how it ruined his career from a pointless friendly. So, Caicedo playing second half. Trev, Chelsea want to sell him. The source, as much as we've got to dig in, apparently, despite being a Man United fan, working for the United Stand and Mark Goldbridge, apparently it's Trev who is his source and why he gets a lot of stuff to do with Chelsea correct. I don't know, but let's wait and see. If you guys did enjoy this video, please hit the like button on it, subscribe to GBFC if you are new around here and haven't already done so, and make sure you check out the link in the description for both the Telegram and the Chelsea-Newcastle preview in case you missed it in the middle of the night in the UK last night. Come on, you Blues.